So, Professor Chandan Bose, welcome to this session.
Good afternoon, everyone, from your end, and good morning from my end. I probably, I just, it's a good idea to introduce myself first. I'm Chandan. I'm an assistant professor of aerospace engineering at the University of Birmingham. So, basically, I'm just here just to have a quick chat with you about how did this workshop go, and as mentioned by Mrs. Pyle, that it went very well, and I was just listening to the questions asked by Diptangshu and your answers, and it's quite interesting. So I will just like talk a few things through that and how it can be carried forward. And I'm not an expert of application development. My area of work and research is computational fluid dynamics and aerospace engineering. So I don't know exactly every technicalities of the app development, but you were at the expert hands, and I hope you all enjoyed. So basically, it will be good for me to get some feedback from your end also, that how did it go, and how do you want to use this knowledge gained from this workshop in your future trajectory of your career. And so would anybody like to kind of share their views on that? So if you look at the first session of developing a restaurant management app, I hope that was what you have been shown through hands-on um, instruction. So how would you take this knowledge forward, and what will be the applications of the knowledge in your end in future? Anybody? That will be good for me to know that in which directions you are going forward. Okay, if not, so I think it is needless to say that this kind of application development, desktop application development, has multifold applications, and it can really give you an edge over your career. And if you are really interested to pursue your career in these directions, and so I would basically, I mean, it will be also good for me to know that what are your application areas. Like, for example, it would then lead to another specific project under the FOSSEE that we are now going forward with, which is basically developing a graphical user interface or a desktop application for open source computational fluid dynamics tools. But again, this workshop was not limited to any particular application, but it is a generic workshop to show how do you develop desktop applications. And so my contribution from this FOSSEE project would be, again, with more experts from the team who are doing this application development day-to-day basis, thanks to Diptangsu. And so basically, we would like to, for example, we would like to develop and very user friendly desktop application for the one of the most popular open source CFD tools available, which is OpenFOAM. And so what are the major benefits of doing that? So I think any application is very important in today's day for any kind of activity, because it becomes users life quite simple. So I think the design of this application, of course, leaving the technicalities ahead, so broadly depends on feedbacks that are obtained from the users, right? So for example, in our computational fluid dynamics case, we would like the apps to be very much or the GUI to be very much user friendly to the new users who doesn't know anything about CFD, or who are just a novice and starting to learn computational fluid dynamics. And I'm taking this example because that's my area and I can talk a bit more about that. So the code that I'm talking about, which is OpenFOAM, which is a C++ library of codes for computational fluid dynamics. Now, the major gap that lies in overcoming the learning curve in these kind of open source tools are that we do not have an well established graphical user interface, where actually the commercial softwares, most of the cases, they win, right? However, at the same time, instead of having just a black box, we can use these open source tools for a better understanding. I mean, from the point standpoint of making an educational impact towards the new students or new learners to the skills. So FOSSEE, particularly the open form project of FOSSEE, is again going forward with building that graphical user interface, which is again one of the desktop applications for teaching open source CFD tools to the new learners. And all that what you have learned through these workshops are actually equally applicable to other applications as well. And I hope that you will take this kind of this spirit of learning way forward, and then you will interact with our expert members from the team, and you will build up something which is very useful for the real life applications of, in general, um, your user base. All right. So with that, I think I just came here to thank you all for joining these workshops, and I hope, really hope, that it was useful to all of you. Although I did not get any particular feedback from any of you, but you will have probably scope to share your feedbacks to our project managers, and we can actually act upon it and try to make these workshops again and again more useful in future. And if you really want to have a follow-up workshop on anything more advanced or more intermediate to advanced level specifying a particular application, please suggest to us later. And with that, I think I again thank you all, and thanks for joining. And yes, I see a hand raised, please.
Hi, so I have some question because I belong to astronomy background.
Sure.
So may I please know if these workshops are useful for developing some software to remotely operate any telescope? I mean, I see like these workshops are useful there if I want to build some software for astronomy experiments.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know. I think, as I mentioned, so the purpose, Deeptangshu may correct me. I think the purpose of this preliminary desktop application workshop was not specifically to any particular application. So it was basically to give you the basic knowledge and to ignite the interest in you so that you can take it forward and then apply this knowledge to your particular field of expertise and where you want to apply and develop an desktop application for it. So I think there are ample scope of using this knowledge to build an application for your particular area of astronomy. I don't see any particular um, hindrance there. But uh, if Diptangshu, do you want to comment on any specific technicalities of that?
There won't be many technical challenges to be fair. Uh, so I think Aruna, you mentioned about controlling a telescope remotely, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
basically, I mean the operations, like how to point it to the sky, like basic operation.
Yes. So basically, physically changing the orientation of a set telescope in a specific area, right? So make it point
Right.
towards a specific star system or something. So yeah, that can be easily achieved. You just the only technicality in question here, everything will be same. In just in the backend, you need to make sure to you need to make sure that you are familiar with the hardware and the software that is used in your telescope hardware. So a very crude prototype of this can be made using Arduino. So that, and there are already projects out there. So there are some mobile applications which basically acts as remote control for your Arduino projects. I am pretty sure you can make desktop application versions of that too.
Yes, I think I completely agree with what Tiptangsu said that um, your the basic, if you know the basic underlying coding techniques and also the principles that are used to build a desktop application, then you can design it according to your user base's need and for the audience who you want the applications to be used by, right? um, so for example, like the one project that I'm interested, as I said, to build a graphical user interface or a desktop application for an open source computational fluid dynamics code users, it's basically to promote using these open source tools by new users, such as new college and university students who are just learning, engineering students who are just learning about fluid dynamics or computational fluid dynamics. So, our one of our major aim would be just for them to start with a very simple case or a very simple geometry, and then modify that in the app and try to understand how the fluid dynamics behind or around those bodies change, and then of course having options to change different algorithms to solve the flow around that, etc. So that will be the first steps that I think we would want to achieve, so that once they get started with the problem and they know how to change it, then of course there will be a very specialized documentation associated with those options where they can go through and learn about the options they are choosing. I mean, it is in contrast to having something like a black box. So that's our goal. Now, again, if you want to use it for your own application in your domain of expertise, you have to first think who will use it and how you can make it more user friendly to them. All right, but of course all these broad motivations doesn't change the underlying framework of building a desktop application that you have probably got an idea from this workshop. Yeah, so thank you again. Thank you for participating, and I will now hand this over to Mrs. Pyle for giving you any further information before we end the session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Chandran. Now we end the session because we are all done with the workshop and demonstration part. And the next step for all of you will be to put your best in while solving the problem statement. And I mean, the FOSSEE team wish you all the best, all the very best to perform, to put your best for the competition. Okay, so with this, I'll say bye bye to all of you. Thanks for joining. Okay, and thank you all of you.